Okay, that's so much better. This too. I'm going to do some adjusting here. Let me see. Although first, let me see if it works. Let's try that. All right. So we're on part 2. The hypothesis. Someone give me what your hypothesis was. Ben?
Are we going to permit it?
Well, our question is, how does weathering happen? So the first thing we're going to do is try and figure out how weathering happens. Yeah.
Alright. Well, sometimes rain can get into the cracks in the rocks, and then it will expand, freeze, and make bigger cracks.
Very good. Okay, good. That's one way. How else?
I said that forces in nature break down rocks into smaller pieces.
Very good. Forces of nature, such as what?
Wind, water.
Okay, wind, water. And what else?
By wind, rain, and ice.
By wind, rain, and ice?
No,
how does that cause?
By wind, rain, and ice, rock chunks are broken down.
Okay. By wind, rain, and ice, rock chunks are broken down. Okay. So for your variables, as I experiment, I will be changing. Actually, I don't really know. What am I going to test? Okay. As I experiment, I will be changing whether or not the rocks have been shaken. Okay. So as I experiment, I will be changing whether or not the rocks have been shaken. Okay? What I'm going to keep the same is the same rocks will be observed before and after. Okay, and this will make sense when I explain it here in just a minute. Okay, so as you're continuing to write that down, I'm going to read the procedure. Step A, observe the rocks and especially note their size and shape. There shouldn't be an F there. Letter B, place the rocks in the container and shake for 30 seconds. Then C, dump out the rocks and observe any differences. Okay? So you'll notice down below where it says collect data, your job is to draw a before and after picture. Okay? So I'm going to show you what the rocks look like before I shake them up. That's what they look like. Okay? Let me turn the left first. Okay, these are pink granite rocks, a type of sedimentary rock. Okay, so in your drawing, take about 10 seconds. Give me a very rough sketch of what you see here. Because in a minute, I'm going to stick them in this jar, close the lid, and shake them up. Then we're going to dump them out and see if we've caused any kind of weathering. We're going to see if we've broken off any of the pieces. Okay, a few more seconds. Just a very rough sketch. Especially note the size, the shape, and the number of pieces. So here we have 2 big pieces. Okay? All right. Now, let's stick them in this jar. What is it called when rocks bump or grind or hit against each other? Ian?
Abrasion.
Abrasion. Okay? So, Ben, I'm going to give you this jar. For 30 seconds, I want you to shake it as hard as you can. Wait. Yeah, just 30 seconds. Okay, on your mark. Wait, come up here so they can see you in the video, please. Okay, ready? Yeah. On your mark, get set, go.
The lid keeps coming undone.
Shake hard, shake hard. Keep going. Halfway, keep going. All right. Okay, I'm going to dump them out and let's see if we have any sort of weathering. Okay? Let's see if we can get them all. Okay. So, what do we call these little pieces here? Vivian?
Sediment.
Sediment. Very good. Okay? So, just from 30 seconds of shaking, good job, we've caused these rocks to weather down. Now, if we continued that process and continued shaking, we would keep wearing down the rocks until they got to be very, very small and we had a big pile of sediments. Okay? What would we call, if we saw these kind of just like in a pile somewhere and we had a big pile of it in our hands, what would we call these little particles?
Sand.
Ian? Sand. Good. Okay? Sand has to do with the size of the particles. Okay? Okay, so a few more seconds to draw that while I look at the next experiment. Once you've collected your data, okay, stop with the begging. Stop. Once you've collected your data, I want you to go to turn the page, go to step 6, analyze and observe. Or analyze, what is it? Analyze data and make a conclusion. Okay? So, it says, based on the result of the experiment, I can conclude that weathering happens when what? Finish that sentence. Based on the results of my experiment, I can conclude that weathering happens when what? Your conclusion should answer the question you're trying to solve. All right. Once you've completed that, go on to part 2. We're going to see how many of these we can get done. We have 5 different demonstrations we're going to try and look at. Yes, question?
What time will we?
9:25. So we got a little time. All right. So, on the back of the paper, or the next paper, okay? Part 2, Discovery Lab. Constant changes of the Earth's surface. Read that part at top where it says note, please. Hannah, nice and loud.
Okay. The Discovery Lab is more like a demonstration. It is a little difficult to set up an actual experiment and test certain variables, but we are still going to observe how the Earth's surface can change based on the different things in it.
Good. Okay, so note that a Discovery Lab does not, you can't really answer all 6 parts. So you can't really have identify the problem, identify variables, things like that. So instead, I'm going to demonstrate and you're going to follow the directions. Okay? So, read the directions, please. It says what? Dominic?
Draw the before and after pictures for the scenario.
For each scenario.
https://
Oh, stop. Smarty pants. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to show you is wave action. Okay? So I'm going to zoom this out. Can you guys see this okay?
Yes. Water and sand.
Okay, so you can see kind of the edge of the sand, right? And the water. This will be like the ocean, correct? Okay. Let me see if I can see that. You can kind of see it in the video. Is that better? Sort of, kind of? Or is that better?
Yes.
That's better.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this folder and I'm going to create waves. All right. But before I do that, I want you to draw the shoreline that you see here. Okay. The goal is I'm going to create waves like you would on the ocean. Okay. And we're going to see, will that change the coastline at all? Okay. And if so, how will it change it? Now, again, your drawing does not have to be perfect. All right. Just draw it as best. Draw what you're seeing as best you can. Actually, I wonder if I can do this. Let me try something. wonder if I can put this.
What is it? Is that what they're seeing?
Yeah.
It's so cool how it's
Now it's all on that.
How'd you do that?
Okay. Now let me see if I can.
Oh, there's 1,000 of these.
I know. I know. Can you see it better that way?
Yeah. I know you're gonna have much better.
That's what I thought.
Okay. Yeah. Wait, move to Elmo. No. The Elmo is called. That is the Elmo. Yeah, that's good.
Is that better? Okay, great.
Just move it up like. Yeah, like that. Yeah.
Okay, so you can see the waves in the sandshore, right? Okay, now I'm going to create the waves. Let's see if we can see any kind of change. Maybe I should do it this way. Turn around too. See if we can create a beach. Okay. Okay, let's go to the beach. Do you see how the tide kind of like pulls some of the sand down?
Oh.
And eventually it flattens the shoreline. Okay? Okay. Do we see any changes? Any difference?
Yes.
Good. Okay. On your paper, I want you to draw the changes that you saw. So draw your after picture. Okay. So that would be an example of how water, waves, can create a change in coastline. All right. Next, we're going to see if we can get some wind action. No. You guys, not really. Apparently, I need more space. Okay. Sand? Yes, you can see that? It's a big old rock. Okay. Here's our sand. Okay. We're going to see if we can get some wind action and see what kind of changes that would create. Okay. Oh, draw your before. Sorry. Draw your before picture. Mm-hmm. Yes.
This is how I draw the sand.
That's okay. I'm not going to grade you on how good your drawings are. This is just for when you look at it, you should remember what it looked like. Okay? Yes. Right here?
Yeah. It's gold.
No, it's like a chunk of paint or something. Yeah. All right, here we go.
Wait.
Okay, here we go. Ready?
Wow. Oh! That reminds me of one of my favorite games. It's so sad.
Now, what I want to show you is this side of the box is kind of acting like a mountain range, right? The wind stops blowing over here. Watch what happens when all the wind hits that side of the box. Do you see little piles of sand building up over here? Okay?
Yes.
That is how the sand dunes are formed. Okay? When the wind can no longer blow anywhere, it deposits the sand down here, okay? And the sand begins to build up, forming little mounds of sand. Okay? So, now draw your after picture. I'm going to set up the next one. Yes.
We should be able to break rocks more often. Very fun.
Technically, I guess you could do it with your own jar at home, whatever you want. All right, next we're going to do the river action. Got to build my shore back up. Oh, thanks, Dominic.
But it's really not.
Okay, now we're going to draw a little river. Okay, now hold on, no.
Nice
Okay.
job.
Now we're going to use the funnel, and we're going to see if we can create a little river. As long as I don't. All right, y'all watch fast, because if I pour it too fast, I'll have a problem.
Oh,
It failed.
it's making a valley.
It's
Yeah, it's making a valley.
it's not working.
It's making a valley.
Okay, so over time, the river erodes the riverbed, correct? Okay, and what we're left with is an eroded area. Okay? Okay, go ahead and draw your before and after. That worked pretty well, actually.
Can you use a good blue spot now?
Yep.
So pretty.
We are going to use the big one now.
What big one? Oh, the one that's
Big pile of mud.
in? Yeah, I saw it while I was out there and I'm like,
All right, we got two more. So flip the back of the paper, please. Okay. All right. Now we're going to see what happens with erosion on a mountain.
oh, it's so pretty.
So
I want to stand that.
it's just mud. You should have seen me digging up dirt yesterday for school. All right. Okay, so I'm going to create my mountain first. Nasty. Okay. So, here's my mountain.
Looks like a spine
A big loaf of pumpernickel bread. Okay. Mountain, yes?
Yeah.
Sort of, kind of. All right. Now we're gonna see. We're gonna give it some rainfall. Okay, with this spray bottle here, and we're gonna see if that changes the landscape of the mountain. Okay. Let's see.
Oh wait, we're on erosion on the mountain.
Yep, we're in the back. All right, here we go.
Ew. I don't think it's working. It's barely working.
Well, it takes a long time to erode a mountain.
It's one. Well, rain is not that light. Where did you get that spray bottle?
No. Dollar store, maybe?
Well, I need one for my. Oh yeah, I did get one. Right.
Okay, do you see the mountain starting to kind of break down a little bit?
Yeah.
If nothing else, you see how this dark piece is now exposed?
Yeah.
Okay? Just a darker piece of sand, of mud. All right? So that would be like over time, if we kept going, this mountain would eventually erode all the way down. Okay? But you should see at least a little change. If nothing else, all of the little bumps and bridges are a little more smoothed out. Okay? On the sides, you see a little more like bumpy, wavy kind of ness because the rain has started to, the rain as it flows down the mountain slowly takes more and more of it away. Okay? So do your before and after picture real quick, and then I'm going to show you what happens when you add some trees. Now, what do you think will happen when we add trees to it? Hannah?
The trees will sort of something as some trees are leaves. Trees will catch water, so the water can't stay
Okay, it's a good thought, but my trees are not going to have leaves because they're too thick. But the rain will still get on the mountain, but it may be soaked up by the leaves a little more so than normal. But you're on the right track, though. If let's look this way, if the leaves blocked some of the water from getting onto the mountain, would that make more erosion or would it prevent erosion? Go ahead. It would prevent it. Okay, so the same thing happens just with trees in general. Okay, if you add trees to the mountain, think about it. Trees have long branching roots, the parts of the trees that kind of grip into the ground, correct? Okay, so if we add something like that to the mountain, it helps keep the dirt of the mountain in place a little bit longer. Okay, because it's providing something that's kind of blocking the dirt from flowing all down the sides. Okay, you're still going to see some, but not as much. The part where the trees are will stay intact a little better. What is it, Ben?
At Louisville Lake, they planted trees there to stop erosion.
Very good. That's why. Okay, you see how it's kind of keeping its shape a little more? The part where the trees are, at least. The sides still wear down because the water is still going to run off the sides with the dirt. But the part where the trees are stays a little better. Okay? So go ahead and do your before and after picture for that as well. Hannah?
The rainforest, it has so many trees, but when it does rain, the trees catch on the water, so it doesn't really fall.
Yes. Now that is because the rainforest has so many leaves and the leaves are so big. That yes, it does kind of work like a canopy almost and keep the rain from getting onto the ground. Ooh, my hand is tired from all that squeezing. Gary, stop. Ian, question, or are you just watching? All right. So then in conclusion, at the bottom of that paper, it says, note, even though we did not perform a formal experiment, we can still draw conclusions based on what we saw happen in the demonstration. So based on the results of these demonstrations I showed you, you can conclude that, what? How could you sum up what we just saw here? Ben?
Trees help mountains from eroding.
Okay, that was in this particular experiment. What about all of them? What was the point of me showing you all these different ways?
Have fun?
Well, it is fun, but that wasn't the point of it. Vivian?
Erosion.
Erosion can happen through what?
Water.
Through water, wind, and ice. Good. Okay. Technically, I didn't show you any ice, but we saw multiple ways that water can cause erosion. Waves, rivers, rainfall. We saw how wind can cause erosion. Okay. All of those things are things that we commonly see on the Earth's surface. Okay. But over time, will change the landscape all the time. Some faster than others, but some not so fast. Okay, yeah.
By the way, that jar on the that lid on the jar is hollow.
Okay, well, I'll have to screw it on a little more tightly next time, I guess. Ian,
Can I help you?
with what?
Like, nothing all messed up and whatnot. Can I help you close the mouth? Do not know it.
No, the mountain's still good.
Because I can blood like a real round one.
Like a mound.
Like a real one. Yeah, like a real one.
I'm gonna have some serious cleaning up to do later today, though.
Help you.
Oh, it's okay. All right. So to finish up,